In October 1965, an aircraft 6 stories long and weighing 250 tons climbed to 70,000 feet over the Mojave Desert and pushed past Mach 3. Its skin glowed white-hot from friction. Its 6 engines pulled it through air that almost wasn't there. It was the fastest bomber ever built, and by the time it flew, it was already obsolete. This is the story of the XB-70 Valkyrie, the Mach 3 bomber that arrived too late. In the mid-1950s, the Strategic Air Command had a problem. The B-52 Stratofortress was new, but it was slow. Soviet interceptors were getting faster. Soviet surface-to-air missiles were getting better. The Air Force needed a successor, a bomber that could outrun anything the Soviets could put in the sky. In 1955, the requirement was issued. Weapon System 110A, a nuclear-armed strategic bomber, intercontinental range, sustained cruise above Mach 3. Boeing and North American Aviation submitted proposals. In December 1957, North American won. They named it the Valkyrie. The aircraft they designed was unlike anything that had flown. It was 185 feet long, with a wingspan of 105 feet, larger than a B-52. It had 6 General Electric YJ-93 turbojets buried side by side in the lower fuselage, each producing 30,000 pounds of thrust on afterburner. It had 2 slender forward canards and a massive delta wing, with leading edges swept back at 65 degrees. It was painted brilliant white, not for visibility, but to reflect the heat. At Mach 3, the skin temperature would exceed 600 degrees Fahrenheit. White paint was the only thing keeping the structure intact, but the most radical feature was invisible from the outside. The Valkyrie was designed to ride its own shockwave. At Mach 3, the airflow under the delta wing compressed against the underbelly of the fuselage, creating a high-pressure region that generated additional lift for free. The engineers called it compression lift. It meant the XB-70 could fly farther and faster than its engines alone could carry it. The aircraft surfed on the compression wave it created. No other aircraft, before or since, has used this principle in production. To make compression lift work, the outer wing panels needed to fold downward in flight. At low speed, the wingtips stayed level, generating maximum lift for takeoff and landing. As the aircraft accelerated past Mach 1, the wingtips folded down 25 degrees. Above Mach 1.4, they folded down 65 degrees, nearly vertical. This wasn't just for compression lift. The drooped wingtips also acted as massive vertical stabilizers, restoring the directional stability that the delta wing alone couldn't provide at high Mach. No production aircraft had ever folded its wings in flight. The Valkyrie did it on every supersonic sortie. The first prototype, AV-1, rolled out of the North American plant in Palmdale in May 1964. It made its maiden flight on September 21st of that year. On October 14, 1965, it reached Mach 3.08, the first American aircraft to sustain that speed. The second prototype, AV-2, flew in July 1965. Together, they would fly 129 test missions over 6 years. But the world they were built to fight in was already changing. On May 1, 1960, a Soviet S-75 Dvina surface-to-air missile shot down an American U-2 reconnaissance aircraft at 70,000 feet over Sverdlovsk. The altitude that had protected high-flying aircraft for a decade was no longer safe. By 1962, the Cuban Missile Crisis had demonstrated that intercontinental ballistic missiles, not bombers, would be the primary nuclear delivery system of the Cold War. The XB-70's mission was disappearing before the aircraft even flew. In March 1961, President Kennedy canceled the production program. Only 2 prototypes would be built. The Valkyrie was demoted from strategic bomber to research aircraft, reassigned to NASA and the Air Force Flight Test Center to study high-speed flight, sonic boom propagation, and supersonic transport design. For 5 years, the 2 prototypes flew test missions out of Edwards Air Force Base, gathering data that would later inform the SR-71 Blackbird and the Concorde. On June 8, 1966, AV-2 was flying a publicity formation for General Electric. Joined by an F-4 Phantom, a T-38 Talon, a YF-5 Freedom Fighter, and an F-104 Starfighter. The photograph would showcase aircraft using GE engines. As the formation broke up, the F-104, piloted by NASA test pilot Joe Walker, drifted into the wake vortex, spilling off the XB-70's drooped right wingtip. The vortex flipped the Starfighter, which struck the Valkyrie's vertical stabilizers, sheared both off, and tore into the right wing. Joe Walker was killed instantly. Co-pilot Carl Cross died in the crash of AV-2. Pilot Al White ejected and survived. The accident grounded the program's flagship aircraft and ended any remaining political appetite for Valkyrie development. AV-1 continued flying research missions until February 1969. On its final flight, it was ferried to the National Museum of the United States Air Force at Wright-Patterson, where it remains on display today. The XB-70 never carried a weapon. It never reached operational service. It never had a successor. The Valkyrie wasn't wrong. The engineering worked. Mach 3 cruise was achieved. Compression lift was proven. The wing fold mechanism functioned exactly as designed. The aircraft did everything it was built to do. But by the time it could do it, no one needed a Mach 3 bomber anymore. The mission had moved underground, into silos, and onto submarines. The sky the Valkyrie was built to own was already someone else's problem. It was the fastest, most ambitious bomber the United States ever built. And it arrived too late. If you want more stories like this, every aircraft that almost was, subscribe. I'm at Clem Botron. This is BingoFuel. See you in the next one.